This is Shri, and welcome to my channel, Vedic Living. Today, we are going to talk about the full moon and the remaining huge transits that are happening in the last 2 weeks of January. We talked about the predictions for the first 2 weeks of January in an earlier video. This will be about starting from the mid of January till the end of January, so it's the second 2 weeks. Now, remember, every time we have a new moon, which happened in the first week of January, there's going to be a full moon after 2 weeks. And this particular full moon is happening on January 17th, and it will happen around 3 degrees of Cancer. And the nakshatra that it's going to happen in is Pushya. Now, the way this particular full moon is going to work is, since it's in Cancer, remember the symbology of Cancer. It's the sign itself, the symbol is a crab. It's if you see a crab on the beach and you try to go near it, it's going to go away from you. So the whole idea is leave me alone, right? It likes to retreat into its shell. It likes its home. It likes to be alone. It doesn't want to be bothered. That's how the sign of Cancer works. So with this full moon, what you're going to see is a lot of people will just want to kind of retreat. They wouldn't want to go out and talk to people. They just want to retreat. They want to be left alone. And you may see this in your family. You may see this with people that you know. And, on a world level, Cancer, it symbolizes the feminine energy. So a lot of things will be seen around women's rights, women's movements, freedom for women. You'll see a lot of things coming out in those areas. And, it's a very emotional sign. Cancer is extremely emotional, and it will test relationships, because the whole idea of Cancer is the sense of security, the sense of home. So that's where your relationship is. It will definitely test relationships. Now, because it stands for security and safety on a worldly level, you'll see a lot of concerns around that. People start feeling insecure. They'll start feeling like their safety is compromised and that kind of stuff. And coming to the nakshatra Pushya, where this is happening, the nakshatra Pushya, the symbology is the cow's udder. So what this means is it's about nourishment, it's about food. And whenever this happens, you will see the food and agriculture industry will be impacted. There will be inflation. There's going to be a rise of prices for food and any kinds of materials that are required to give you comfort and a sense of home and to sustain you. And this insecurity that I said, with the sign of Cancer, can also be from not having enough food. So there could be problems with, supply. There could be issues with agriculture, or just, not being able to meet the demand. So this kind of stuff can be seen. And this particular full moon is very interesting, because at the same time that this is happening, a couple of days before that, so on January 14th, which is tomorrow, there's going to be a Mercury retrograde, which will last for 3 weeks till Feb 3rd. Now, this Mercury retrograde is in the sign of Capricorn. And Capricorn stands for what? It stands for government. It stands for control. It stands for finances and economy, right? And a lot of things will be seen around where the government is trying to exert more control. There could be issues around, people not wanting to do what they're being told to do, and, anything, stuff like that. There'll be a lot of rebellious, and revolts going on during this time frame, because the full moon, anytime there's a full moon, the planets that are aspecting the moon at that time really does flavor the events during that time frame. So one of the things that's happening is Mercury is going to be aspecting the moon from across the chart from Capricorn, and it's retrograde, and that's going to definitely put its flavor on it. And around the same time, another big thing that's happening is the planet Uranus. Uranus is going to be stationed, and it's going to go direct on the 18th of January, the next day. So during the full moon, Uranus is decreasing in speed, and then it'll come to a stationary point. Whenever a planet is stationed in the sky, it's saying, look at me, pay attention to me. Everything about Uranus is going to be front and center. You're going to see earth changes, problems with could be earthquakes, volcanic eruptions, any kind of earth changes or shifting and that kind of stuff. Plus, you'll also see technology being impacted. Not only is Mercury retrograde, Uranus is stationing. And space exploration, a lot of talks around that, because that's Uranus. And Uranus just stands for shocking sudden events. So that could also happen, because around that time, 17th and 18th, Mercury is retrograde, Venus is retrograde, Uranus is stationed, and then you have the full moon in Cancer. So it's all happening at the same time, right? So expect the unexpected, I would say, because that's what Uranus is known for, right? Airlines, problems with flights, being delayed, people having, if you try to travel during that time frame, not only is Mercury retrograde, Uranus also rules airlines. So, being stationed means there could be issues with the flights being delayed or canceled, or, all kinds of inconveniences. And that's something to watch out for. So another thing, the full moon is also aspected from Capricorn by Pluto. There are 4 planets in Capricorn that are all aspecting this full moon. So there's Mercury, which is retrograde. There's Pluto, around 2 degrees. So it's not exactly the 3-degree mark, but it's close to it. And then there is Sun and there is Saturn. All of these planets are aspecting this full moon. So the full moon opposed by Pluto, what does that mean? Pluto stands for power. It stands for control. It stands for government manipulation. And because Sun is also conjunct Pluto, Sun being the ruler of a country, or the people who are in charge of the government, there could be problems with people, like the government head stepping down or resigning, or problems within the government structure itself because of control issues and such things. So remember that that's going to happen too. Now, during this whole time, Venus is also retrograde. Venus has been retrograde for a few weeks now. Now, that means that in your personal life, relationships can get tested, because along with the Venus retrograde, which is going to karmically test your relationship, there is also going to be a Mercury retrograde, which means communication can break down between 2 people. And the full moon being in Cancer, which symbolizes home and comfort, is also kind of, putting a question mark on the sense of security and comfort and safety. So all of that being added together, that Venus retrograde can really test a relationship. Really strong, good relationships will pass the test and become stronger, but the weak ones, or the relationships which no longer serve a purpose in your life, can fall out. So remember that. And with all of this happening, and the fact that there's security, safety all being questioned, one of the main things is to find your inner balance and your inner support system. And the whole idea, and remember the crab when I talk about this, right? The symbology of the crab. Yes, there can be a lot of things happening outside, but what the crab does is it retreats within itself, because that's where you find that peace and security. So that's what you should try and do, and try to not let all that energy from outside, the negative energy, impact you or pierce your shell. So that will be the next 2 weeks of January. And don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter on my website. And also, while you're there, use the free chart calculator and see if any of these points, the 3-degree mark in Cancer, or the 3-degree mark in Capricorn and Cancer, is being impacted to, directly impacting any of your personal planets, and which houses they are in. So whichever house this full moon axis is on, the Cancer Capricorn axis, that'll be where you will see a lot of things coming out. Because remember, the full moon brings things out into the open. It sheds light on something. It's like that spotlight that's being shown on something that you haven't looked at for a long time, or that you have forgotten about. So the axis, the house axis where the full moon is happening, is where you will see those things come out. So remember that, and I hope you get to look at your chart on my website. I'll see you next time. Thank you so much.